No one else can see what you're doing. Okay, so Loretta, you've done an assignment before. You're doing one at the moment, are you?
I am doing one at the moment.
Planning campaigns again?
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, so you're both in the same boat. I don't know what your previous tutors talked about within the assignments, but I've got some general kind of guidance for the way that I like them, and I feel it works better. The key things about the assignments compared to the exams is that here you're looking at demonstrating that you can analyze the concepts and the models and use them in the context of your business. And so there's two key words there, which is analyze and context. So keywords like why and because. Why is this relevant to my business? Because we are a B2B organization and therefore need to blah, blah, blah. Because we have a very long sales cycle. The conversions or the objectives for us are delivering leads to the sales team rather than, sales on a website or whatever there is. So the key thing to do is to make sure that you build in that context, and why and because is absolutely crucial. There's no real point in doing a kind of half a dozen lines of almost a definition of a technology or a definition of what a thing is. You have to, at this point, assume that the marker knows the stuff. So if you're talking about ADA or something, or race or whatever, then by all means say, we're looking at the ADA model of awareness, interest, desire, action. And because we are a business to business, the action element is usually undertaken by our sales team or whatever it happens to be. You don't need to do a long discursive definition of what ADA is. Simply ADA brackets and then the 4 words is sufficient, and a reference. And that's kind of different to the exam kind of environment where they would kind of explain how ADA works in a more generic sense. They hear you, you're saying, we are going to use this model. And like we said, for the last 7 or 8 weeks, we're going to take these models apart. We're going to play with the models. We're going to say, desire and action are scrunched together, or desire and action split apart because 7 Ps, because it's digital, we're merging parts of the 7 Ps, promotion or whatever, together. Place and process are the same, or whatever it happens to be. You can play with the models. You get that flexibility to play. But what you need to do is you need to demonstrate to your marker that you actually understand what you're doing. This is the only chance you have of showing him or her that you know your stuff. So you need to demonstrate that you know your stuff. It's effectively it's an open book exam kind of situation. They are going to expect that you know the 7 Ps and ADA and 4 S's and all that stuff, because you've got the books in front of you. It's not a memory challenge. So be very, very wary of putting long discursive explanations here. My daughter is doing the same. She's writing essays at university at the moment. Excuse me. Excuse me, hay fever. And one of the key things that they say to her is, you don't need to describe the period. You don't need to describe who married who and who killed who or whatever. You need to understand and analyze why they married each other, or why they killed each other, or why there was a particular battle between those 2 people, or whatever it happens to be. And the why is absolutely crucial. So that's really key. Another thing I love to see, because I'm a bear of simple brain, is pictures. So, for example, there's a piece in here which says illustrate best practice. That is code for show me some screenshots. So if they're doing some really good social media activity, then some screenshots of some really good tweets from them, or some really good LinkedIn content from them, is helping you as well as it's helping the marker, because you can then say they are doing this great campaign targeting these particular people within the organization, within this particular part of the customer journey. Whacking up some screenshots of stuff really, really shows. And so if you're looking at things like personalization, showing a copy of an email, obviously, anonymize it, take your name off of it and stuff like that, but showing them an email to say, this is what they've done. They've personalized this based on prior behaviors or predicted behaviors based on group segmentation. So you can look at these kind of things and say, when it's a screenshot, you don't need to count the words on it. Basically, the rule of thumb is if you are asking them to look at something, then you don't need to count the words. If you're asking them to read something, then you do have to count the words. So if you were doing a customer journey as a diagram showing the various channels and various elements and so forth, then you're expecting them to kind of read it and go, yeah, absolutely, social media, that's websites, that's that, and that. You expect them to read it, the words count. If you're just showing them, hey, hasn't competitor X got a brilliant website, you don't count those words. So those are the kind of differentiation. Read, count, look, don't count. Layout is important. You're not page limited, so give yourself white space. Relax about that kind of thing. I've a lot of the drafts I've just recently have had diagrams, and what they've done is they've scrunched the diagram down into a kind of a half column width, and then they've word wrapped around it, and they've done all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. And there's literally 0 point in doing that, because you're not. This is all electronic. There's no paper involved, so give them some space. Make the diagrams big. Make the diagrams clear. Let the person breathe whilst they're reading it. So a sort of mini title page between each task. So task 2, presentation on persona, customer journey, and multi-channel marketing. 18 slides, 1,700 words is a page, and then they kind of finish task 1 and go, thank God for that. I finished task 1, and now it's task 2. You're literally giving them that breathing space, and it helps you with the layout as well. There is a narrative thread. There is a story running through the piece. So if you look at the SOSTAC model, situation, objectives, strategy, tactics, activities, control, you don't just put SOSTAC within the task 3, the digital marketing plan. In actual fact, all 3 tasks are part of that. Tasks 1 and task 2 are actually, in this particular assignment, essentially situational analysis. You're looking at my company, what's going on in the wider world, how good my company is at something, who my customers are, what my customers do. All of those pieces are actually part of your overall situational analysis, understanding what's going on in the marketplace, what's going on in the industry, what's going on in the minds of my customers, all 100% situational. Then in the actual marketing plan, it goes straight into objectives. Because you've already defined the situation in advance, you've already come to some kinds of conclusions about this is who we are, this is what great stuff other people are doing, this is what rubbish stuff we're doing. Those 3 bits automatically drive your objectives, which is be better, do good stuff. it's so a lot of people get tempted into kind of like doing a SWOT analysis and portify forces and all that kind of stuff in their marketing plan, thinking, oh my God, marketing plans, SOSTAC. Guys, you've already done that in the first pieces. Don't do it again, because those stuff has led into it. Other things in, for example, there's a piece in middle of task 2. We'll go into task by task in a minute, but we're talking generally at the moment. At the end of task 2, it says, talk about omnichannel and multi-channel marketing. And you think, well, why have they put in a weird bit which doesn't seem to fit with the rest of task 2? Why is that there? That's really kind of signposting, big flashing neon. Guys, in your marketing plan, multi-channel marketing and omni-channel marketing might be a good idea to put that in there, because you've already kind of analyzed it in task 2. So why the hell wouldn't you use it in task 3? So, you know, they are really trying to signpost this a lot. And the thing is that there should essentially be this narrative thread, this story, which runs through all of the 3 tasks to get to a conclusion at the end, which says, because of this, we're going to do good stuff. So that's the overall kind of approach.
Can I just ask?
Yes, indeed.
If you don't mind. Sorry, this is just so I can see this is September 2021. Is it going to be the same for December?
I will just check that out. Hold on a second.
Because I think because the deadline for handing the draft isn't until July. Sorry, is in July, and I think the deadline for the deadline for the for my planning campaign assignment is the 30th of June. I'd rather have a little bit of a break.
Yep, absolutely. I can understand that. I'm just checking.
I think I'm doing the December one.
You're doing the December one. Okay.
I think so.
Right.
I'm not down to do December yet. I need to have a word with them, but
okay.
Yeah, I plan to do December one.
It may have changed in December. Let's just check.
Yeah, all my deadlines on my portal are October and then December and November.
Yeah, mine's not. Mine's set for July, and because they changed the deadlines, but I don't think they've updated this one. So they changed the campaign's deadline.
Okay. In actual fact, it's changed very, very slightly, but conceptually, it's pretty much the same. Oh, excuse me. Hate hay fever. Okay, let's share screen again. Okay, so now you can see December. Yes, December 21. Yes. Digital marketing.
Yeah.
Excellent, fantastic. Yeah, it's very, very similar. So it's nothing I've said so far is wrong. But yeah, thank you for letting me know, because otherwise it would have been rather embarrassing. Yes, thank you. Great. Let's have a look. Okay, so the next thing to talk about is themes. Has your campaigns one had themes based in it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What they've done here, the CAM have done this. It's relatively recent. They've ended up for about a year or so now. Is they've done this so that it enables different kinds of organization to pick different things, because if you're a not-for-profit, if you're a charity, or if you're a local council, which quite a lot of people are working in local councils and stuff like this, then some of the previous ones like new product development and stuff like that, well, basically you're a council, you do bins and schools, you're not going to suddenly do something different. And you don't have sales because everybody wants their bins collected, and it's not something which has sales involved in it and so forth. So, and they got a lot of feedback saying that basically the business to business people were unhappy, and the not-for-profits were unhappy. So what they've now done is they've given everybody 4 different themes to look at. The biggest feedback we've had from the CIM about the theme is that often people have mentioned the theme in their task 1A and then completely and utterly ignored it for the rest of the assignment. They simply have not written anything else about it, or they've done something which is so generic that they've basically, I'm just going to do a marketing plan. What was my theme? Oh, I don't know. That was ages ago. I can't remember what that was. That was in 1A. Hell, I'm now in 3B. What the hell are you talking about that one for? So the key thing is to make sure that you actually include the theme throughout. So, for example, if you're looking at retaining customers and building loyalty, okay, when you're looking at best practice from your competitors and best practice from your industry, then look at best practice which is related to retaining customers and building loyalty. Hey, these guys are really good at building loyalty. So use that as an example. Don't use an example of something which is really weird and out there, like And if you're doing brand reputation, then what have they done to support their brand reputation? So, for example, you could look at BP with their Beyond Petroleum thing and all that kind of stuff. But make sure that you're using that theme all the way through. And this is the biggest problem that so many people face in the last year or so, that they've completely and utterly forgotten this. They've said, oh, my theme is this, and then they've never mentioned it ever again. So pick your theme carefully and go through it. There are 4 themes. Basically, acquiring a new customer segment. So if you're business to business, then you're breaking into business to consumer, or if you are focused on, if you're Saga and you're focusing on the 65 pluses, then maybe you need a different thing for your 50 pluses, because we don't want to spend our time with the 65-year-olds, or whatever it happens to be. So, I mean, that's a fairly clear going into a new market. So this is market entry strategy. How do I get into doing a new thing?
Can I ask on this? Sorry. So rather than it being kind of, I just want to get this right, but to say, for example, we have different sectors at work. So you'll have like your main ones, which would be trademarks, and then maybe electronics, for instance, or engineering, and life sciences. But then within that we have different sectors. Would you count that as a customer segment?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You could do that. You could say, we mainly have like major 6-figure clients. We're looking at offering something into the SME sector, doing some more basic, simple stuff. You could look at something like digital rights management, as this is a new thing that we're doing. We've got creatives, they're creating loads of stuff. How do we manage the digital rights on that stuff to make sure people aren't stealing stuff? Or whatever it happens to be. But yes, it can either be a new market sector in terms of a new product that you're launching into a new group of people, or it can be, we currently sell to X, we are now going to try and sell the same thing or an adaptive thing to Y. How do we reach Y? And so on. So there's 2 ways of looking at that. Yeah, absolutely. So very clearly, that's a lot of awareness raising kind of activities, because you're breaking into a new market. It's a lot of maybe educational marketing, educative marketing. So, hey, look at this stuff. You didn't know you needed this stuff? Well, you now need this stuff, and bizarrely, we are the people who can deliver this stuff to you. Those kind of things. You're looking at the changing ways that those people may deal with you. So if you're looking at 6-7-figure contracts at the moment and you're going down to 4-figure contracts, then you may need to have a different process involved in that, because you can't sustain the existing processes at that lower price point, or whatever it happens to be. So there's all sorts of different things you could do in that area. So really kind of quite a cool one, actually. As I say, it's really very top end of the customer journey. Looking at existing customers who are good at, existing competitors who are good at that kind of area, it's going to be a good thing. And later on, when we're talking about the customer journey, focusing on your activities in order to get people into the funnel at that front end, because that's part of the process. Theme 2, retaining customers, building loyalty. Obviously, this is selling the second product, upselling, cross-selling to existing customers, keeping them within your area. So, we talked about techniques like things like HP Instant Ink and Cornerstone, where we are building that loyalty. Building loyalty and making sure they're coming back to us, making that the returning customers less friction than before. So how do we improve that? How do we kind of keep those people with us? Because they're the easiest people to farm. So this is a lot about farming those customers. So, you'd be possibly looking at a race kind of model within this one here, because you're engaging with them continually. You're working with them over an extended period of time. You know, Loretta, you could see that this one is possibly a good one for you, because this is basically, you know, expanding our portfolio to give them other things to do with us. The arguments we've had before, that if you're buying one product from somebody, it's easy to switch. If you're buying 2 or 3 products from someone, it's much harder to switch. You've got more fear, uncertainty, and doubt about moving out away. You've got a lot more inertia to keep them with you, so churn's reduced. So all of these kind of concepts that we talked about before can fit into that one quite nicely. So, you know, it can be quite a cool one to go for. And we're then talking about different techniques. So you're looking at how we engage with these people. We're looking at regular newsletters. We're looking at social media. We're looking at, you know, regular webinars and events to show them new products and new services, to show them that we care. We're looking at a lot of personalization going on in there. We're looking at a lot of this if this, then that kind of stuff. Oh, people who bought this also bought that. What kind of materials? So a lot of stuff in there, focusing around those kind of retention and interest and desire kind of building and nurturing and supporting kind of activities. So you can see the different parts of the customer journey already kind of coming out of those 2 areas. I'm going to skip 3 for the moment. And there was a reason for that. Theme 4, changing user behavior. Could be quite cool in terms of aspects like, you know, a lot more people working from home, lots of smaller businesses, you know, lots of online deliveries, lots more remote working, lots more different ways of managing and working with people, and so on and so forth. Whether this fits with your 2 organizations, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the last 18 months, which really kind of drives this home. You know, lots of digital technologies and digital techniques are tailor-made for this kind of grouping of people. You know, for example, we did a lot of you know, health and safety and stuff like that within our organization before we all sat in a room and we listened to someone talking at us for hours and hours and hours on end, because we had to do a health and safety course. Now we do those online. We just sit here and watch somebody talking hours and hours and hours using a PowerPoint slide, and then we fill in a quiz at the end of it, and so forth. But we've changed the way it works. A lot more self-service. You can talk about self-service activities in there. You can talk about a lot of people doing a lot more pre-research before they come to you. So like when we talked about car buying, people are doing a lot more of their research online, and they're really, really shortlisting before they even contact you. And so therefore you may get fewer leads, but the leads are already kind of pre-qualified because they've already gone through the process of understanding who you are before you even hear of them. So that's how their behaviors are changing. So all sorts of interesting things that you can talk about in that area as well. So really quite cool to have that. In theme 4, for example, you could look at things like the product and process of your 7 Ps model, because and place and promotion, all of these kind of Ps fit into changing and how they've changed and how they're adapting and how they're modifying and so forth. So you can see how the kind of different models fit into the different kinds of themes, how you can use different bits of the tools to help you build the different themes out. Brand reputation is number 3. I have always advised everybody not to do the brand reputation. And the reason why I think the brand reputation is very, very, very hard is because when it comes to the marketing plan, when you're defining your objectives and your marketing mix and your KPIs for monitoring and controlling it, it is much harder. It's an order of magnitude harder to build objectives and KPIs around brand reputation, because it's all soft and fluffy and qualitative stuff. It's not quantitative. All kind of sentiment analysis and ratio of positive tweets to negative tweets and all of this kind of stuff. And frankly, building a marketing plan around it is an absolute nightmare. And the customer journey, what's the customer journey within brand reputation? There isn't one. People will see a featured article from BP telling everybody how they're no longer killing turtles. Where's the customer journey in that? You look at the video and you think, all right, BP aren't killing turtles anymore. I'm going to go out and buy me some petrol. There's no call to action. It's we're nice. That's about it. So unless you are absolutely desperate and can't find a way of using 1, 2, and 4, don't use 3. I'm serious on this one. It's really, really difficult. Does that fit with your kind of ideas of these 4? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go near 3 really, because it's so difficult. It just even a lot of these are quite difficult in some ways. I mean, probably acquiring a new customer segment and retaining customers and building loyalty is probably one of the easiest ones. But I just need to think about how we do it from a digital sort of viewpoint, because obviously, you do have webinars, and you do have we do newsletters and things like that. But then I guess it's a bit limited on what else. But I'm not sure if that's just business to business though, because we do have social media, but we have LinkedIn. We use Twitter occasionally, but it's not like we haven't got Instagram and some of the other social media sites, and we don't. So a lot of our stuff's kind of blog heavy and things like that, or we do publications and things. So it's just working out how I would do that and whether or not that would be retaining customers. A lot of retaining customers for us is about, I guess, customer service. So it's just whether or not that is the best fit for this particular assignment.
It's all about your kind of your account managers and your partners doing a lot of that stuff, because people are building a relationship with those individuals, and they want to stay with that individual. It's nothing much to do with the rest of what you're doing. It's all down to I like you, I trust you, you do good stuff for me, I'm going to keep on using you, because it's easier to keep on using you than it is to go and find someone else.
Exactly.
It's a bit like a marriage. You're thinking, I like this person, I know this person, it's easy to stay with this person than find someone else. That's not how marriage works, I can assure you of that, but you can see what I mean. So I mean, maybe the new customer segment or the changing behavior piece might be good ones for you in that environment.
I need to have a sort of a think about it, but
I think you've got plenty. You have got some time to think. You're doing it in December, so you've got some time to think about it and bounce some ideas off of me via email after you finish the current one, and we'll go from there, basically. Sienna, is that working for you?
Yes, I think I've just realised I chose the wrong theme for my planning campaigns one, so I just need to. I've written about a change in. I thought like a change in behaviour would be like trying to convince our existing customers to use more of our products when often they only use one of them, to use the whole like suite of our products. But I realised that that's actually customer loyalty.
That's customer loyalty.
A change in behaviour. So I'm just
that's
having a bit of
customers
panic,
and
but
building
it's
loyalty.
okay. Don't worry.
Just
but yes,
change your defined theme to fit what you've written for the rest of it. And that's probably
I mean, it does all. It makes sense for what that is, but it's just need to sort of make sure it's clear that that's the thing.
And this important thing about making sure that you're driving home that in order to retain customers, we are doing these things, and this is a good way of retaining customers, and this is a thing to do in this. It feels forced and artificial sometimes, but what they want to do is they want to make sure that you're not just creating a generic kind of catch-all marketing plan that will work for anybody, anywhere, doing anything. They want it to be very you.
And also just I wasn't thinking of doing brand reputation, but I'll have a think about what to do and how to make it different from the one I've done already.
Okay.
So
Cool. Okay, so right. Okay. 1A, the background bit. It's obviously fairly generic compared to everybody else. All the other assignments pretty much have the same thing. And everyone says, can I use the one from the previous one? And I go, yes, but the key thing you've got to do in this piece is to treat it as the kind of, it's the first chapter of your novel. And you really want to catch their attention. You want to kind of draw out particular things in this first piece, which will then, you know, be significant plot points later on in your novel. So we're talking multi-channel marketing in this. We're talking about environmental scanning in this. We're talking and so forth. So bring in those kind of concepts at the beginning to sort of say, this is who we are, what kind of things we do. Sort of bring in some of that information. So when you're talking about things like competitors, you could look at doing a very, very quick portify forces kind of thing in there to say, you know, threats of new people, threats of substitution, et cetera, forward and backward integration, all those kind of things. You could put those kind of concepts within this so that later on, when your words count limited and you're really, really struggling to get into your 500 words, you've kind of already explained it in these 2 pages at the beginning, which is pretty much 1,000 words. So it can be quite good to bring that stuff into the first piece, and to make the person comfortable about who you are, and give them comfortable that you understand your business and you understand it. It shouldn't just be a Wikipedia entry. It shouldn't be, my company is called this, it is this size, it has got this many products, the competitors are blah and blah and blah and blah. It doesn't tell me much about why you're choosing this theme. It doesn't tell me what's important about your business, what's relevant to your business. It doesn't give me any, and why I have chosen this theme. And it says the theme chosen, a rationale for choice. That should basically be about half a page. You should be doing about a page and a half on the rest of it, and about a half a page should be the rationale for your choice. It shouldn't just be a throwaway one line at the bottom, oh, and by the way, our theme is. You know, because the rationale word is very, very key there, and that is why I have chosen this theme, why this theme is relevant, why it is important for us to look at this stuff. So even writing 1A, which can be often seen as a bit of kind of like, you know, it's just first kickoff in a football match, no one scores from the first kickoff. This is still kind of important because you're actually getting the ball rolling, and if you can get it going, then it really does help you later on. A really good task 1 helps you with task 2 and task 3, and a good task 1A really helps you all the way through. Is that clear? Is that cool?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously the bare facts, copy and paste them across, that's fine, but really kind of build it and color it to fit the rest of it. Okay, so 1B, identify an organization. This has changed from the previous one, which said give 2 key good examples of best practice. This is now looking at finding a kind of a customer whom you would be an organization you would aspire to be like. So it's one organization and why they are doing really good stuff, why they are really particularly good at this particular theme that you're going for. So why they are good at retaining their customers, how they are doing really great job in retaining their customers, how they're doing a fantastic job in breaking into new markets, how they're doing a fantastic job in changing the way people buy stuff and use stuff and so on. So, you know, those are the 3 things. So, you know, look around and go, right, okay, my theme is going to be customer retention. What companies do that really, really well? What companies really, really engender loyalty and make people carry on? And so you could be looking at even companies like Apple, you know, which is building their lovely, pretty walled garden of technology, and it's all, everything works together, and you kind of, when you're buying a new Apple phone, you kind of put them together, and then they talk and they do all the stuff together, and you just have to watch them do pretty pictures. and and all this kind of stuff, and what and how Apple say that everything is all part of the same thing, and your stuff you've written on one thing will turn up on another thing, and all this kind of stuff. But look at how people engender that loyalty and how that works. And you could even look at a whole range of companies to do this stuff. And same with new segments. How do people?
And they don't have to be in our industry. It can be anything.
No, they don't. But you do have to assess how your organization could benefit by adopting that stuff.
Okay.
So it's almost like these people do fantastic stuff. These people do great, whatever.
Yeah.
And we can learn from this. What are the learning outcomes from us being more like Apple, or being more like HP, or being more like whoever it happens to be?
And it's, when you're writing this, is it in the style of we should do this, or is it the companies who say
The
like
company,
many
it's
data should do
all
this?
third person, so no I's and no we's.
Okay, great.
If you've written I and we in your other assignment,
I haven't really. I was just double checking.
No. That annoys the hell out of me. Everybody comes. I am going to do this. We will do this. Who's we? Who you and whose dog are going to do this? So it's an academic piece, so it's all third person.
Yeah.
The number of times I have to explain to people that first person is I and we, and they go, "Oh, I've done it in third person because I've used we." No, that's first person plural. It worries me hugely. And I'm virtually illiterate myself, so you identify somebody who's doing some really good stuff based around your theme that you've chosen, and what the learning things that you can get out of this. Okay, so we could use that to help us maintain loyalty. We can produce regular, whatever it happens to be, to nurture our existing customer base. We could change our business processes to reduce friction and allow us to reduce costs and allow us to go into lower price points with different, whatever it happens to be. So all sorts of things you could look at doing in that area. But so that's the way to do that bit. Provide, and then you can see what you're currently doing, and then assess its effectiveness. So we are doing these things and they're rubbish, or we are doing these things and they could be a lot better, and go for we could be a lot better. So we could improve this by doing this. So we currently do a monthly newsletter to all of our registered clients. We could do this better by tightly personalizing this to identify the products and services that they use and to give them relevant information and materials, or to find other linked products that we could offer and then cross an upselling model. So so we can do these things, we can do them better. It's a good way of looking at that. And then all these techniques like if that then this, personalization, automation, and all these kinds of things that we can be doing. So remarketing, retargeting kind of activities we could also look at doing in now. We don't do it at the moment. We could do this to, rather than spend our time in awareness raising and then having to keep on churning through brand new customers every single time, do some retargeting so that people who've come to us once, bring them back. Talk about this half-life of engagement where we stop doing that after a while to stop annoying people. Example of this just happened. Yes, we are looking to reduce our alcohol consumption because everybody is. So I looked at some alcohol-free and low alcohol gin alternatives, and suddenly my Facebook has got 100% adverts for low and no alcohol wine and beer and gin and whiskey, and I'm thinking, God, I just bought it once, just go away, stop hassling me. So how to start and then how to know when to stop, so we're not bugging people. Anyway, minor aside there. So how good are we at this? And it's really interesting that they have split this 1C into two sections. If you look at the September and the July ones, they have not split it into two. It's all in one. And I think what they're doing here is they've identified that people are just blathering on, we do this and we do this and we send these out and we do that, and they're just doing the descriptive stuff, and they're just going on and on about what we do. What is the thing that we do? Here they've gone for the what and then the why and how well. So you've got what it is we do and why we do it and how well we do it is in the second piece. And there's 8 marks. There's twice as many marks for this C2 than there is for C1. And it's clear that they're looking for this analysis, this assessment is the key word there. So I think they've probably learned from some of the April ones that really they need to get their act together and kind of lead people by the nose into what they want to do.
I've got 2 questions on this. So on point C, I mean, you could have quite a few different points, but do you recommend sticking to like a certain number, say for example 3 points, so that you can properly assess them? Or
let me see, you've got 1,100 words and you've got about 600 words in C, and they're divided up into 200 words and 400 words. Essentially C1 is 200 words, C2 is 400 words.
So it's not too long, so it would probably be better to keep them.
Keep it brief, to say that we undertake the following. We have a website, we have regular newsletters, we do social media, we do paid advertising, we do advertorials in third parties. So you've got 3 or 4 things that you're doing, and you're kind of briefly outlining them. And again, you can do screenshots. Okay. Screenshots don't count in your words. So we have a website. Ta-da! We do emails. Here's the sample email. Ta-da! We have a active, or we have LinkedIn, but we are very inactive. Is a good point to put into that piece. And then later you can say, yeah, we're not really doing that very well, and so on. You've then got another 400 words to say we don't have clear calls to action. We don't have clear ways of engaging with us. We don't have activities like remarketing, retargeting, and so on. All these kind of things you can be putting into that C2, and you've got twice as many words in that section.
Okay, that's good. And my other question is, and I guess this counts for B as well, how much, or in terms of examples and theory, do we need to include?
Well, I would normally sort of suggest that what you can do in here is to say, organization A is very active in pay-per-click advertising and search engine optimization. This is to raise awareness. And if you capitalize and bold the word awareness, that's showing that you're identifying the ADA model.
Okay. So you don't actually have to give a full line of...
No, absolutely. So you can put awareness and then brackets and then a reference to the ADA model. So that's essentially 3 words. Awareness, 1 word for the name, and 1 date. That's 3 words. Okay. So you don't have to go into raising awareness they are raising awareness through the ADA model by doing blah blah blah. That's just a waste of words. They are doing this to raise awareness, and signpost it. Put it in bold, capitalize the A for awareness, put a reference, and then the marker's can go, right, okay, Loretta knows that this is the awareness stage of the ADA model. They're not daft. And that is sufficient, in my view, to actually demonstrate that you've actually understood the model and are using the model rather than just parroting the model.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. And that comes back to the whole thing about don't do a kind of long discursive description of what the model is, because this is an open book exam. They're not checking your memory. Okay. Task 2 is a presentation. Key things about presentations. They are not, it's not an example of how to write a bunch of lists. So many times when I see a presentation in the drafts, it is effectively 18 pages of lists. Now, I know you've seen my slides. I'm guilty of this myself, in that I will put 6 words on a slide and, you know, maybe a little picture in the corner. But you've got me doing the arm waving thing and the talking and the discursive and discussing my mother-in-law and all that kind of stuff around those words. Those words are there more to remind me where I am in my conversation with you. In this, the slides have to be that as well. So they have to be much more fuller of information. They have to have a lot more kind of graphical descriptions of what you're doing, and so forth. And then the notes underneath, and another failing that we have with a lot of people when they do the notes, is that the notes are essentially a rewording of the words which are on the slide. The notes are there to expand and develop and evidence the slide. So the slide says 45% of the target audience use LinkedIn. And then in the notes, you then have the reference of where you actually got that 45%. Okay. We can use LinkedIn is a great way to engage business to business. And then in the notes, you can say, LinkedIn is used regularly by business, and with its personalization techniques, we can, all those kind of things can go into the notes. So you're actually developing what's said on the slide. Try and use a nice layout and pictures. There's a sample in Slack of one I created, which actually, yes, you can still use it for the entirety of this. Yeah, so you can actually use it pretty much for the whole of this. Just to show you the way to lay it out and the way to make it pretty. Now, for example, you've got 3 sections in here. Now, in my example online, I actually used a color bar across the bottom with persona and customer journey and multi-channel marketing in essentially the footer in a color bar along the bottom to show to the marker, I've done 5 slides on this, and I'm doing 6 slides on this, and I'm doing another 6 slides on that. And you can tell that they are different because the color has changed. And I've got actually a subtitle along the bottom to really prove to you that I am moving from one section to the other section. But I've used a kind of consistent graphics. I've used a consistent layout style for them so that it looks like a presentation that you'd be proud to show to the boss. Okay, so try and use your kind of company's default template for this if at all possible. At a technical level, so many people ask me, how do I include the slides in? Easiest way of doing this is to go into PowerPoint. I assume both of you use PowerPoint, yes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Select File, Save As. Have you ever done this? File,
Yeah.
Save As, JPEG. And it will save you 18 JPEGs. And then you put a JPEG at the top of the page in Word, and then you've got a space for about 100 words underneath. And then the next page, you have a JPEG, and then about 100 words underneath. Next page, JPEG, words underneath. So you should have 18 pages essentially, one with a picture on the top and some words underneath. Picture on the top, words underneath, all the way through. And File Save As JPEG is the easiest way of creating a nice one, which you can then size and scale and fiddle around, and it doesn't, you know, all the text doesn't go all stupid and resizing itself and all that kind of weird crap that happens if you try to insert a PowerPoint into a Word document, because that just never works very well. So those are the technicalities. Yeah, here you're looking at benefits of persona. So you're looking at why your personas are good. We talked about personas being not just demographics, but also behavioral.
Sorry, can I just ask, sorry, so this information when you briefly outline the benefits of a persona, would you put that in the slide? Or would you, sorry, I might sound really stupid, or do you put it when you put the picture of the slide and then you have the writing at the bottom, do you put any writing at the bottom?
Both. Basically the slides say, the slides say, why use a persona? Personas give us insights into customer segmentation and customer behavior. You know, that could be one slide. And then underneath you say,
You elaborate,
you build, you develop you evidence those kind of key points you put onto the slide. Okay.
Okay.
Just as I have 5 words on a slide and then I talk for half an hour, it's that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah. Thanks. Sorry.
No, absolutely no. No silly questions. That's why I'm here.
And we should put it as writing in the actual document rather than like slide notes. You know, in PowerPoint you can put the notes. Okay.
Yeah, writing in the actual document, because that way you can do references, you can do bullet points, you can do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't easily do on Word in
Cool.
PowerPoint. And I think, as I say, references are good in there and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, and don't do it as a script. It's not a script. So often I get people writing it as a script, which is, good morning, I'm going to talk to you about. No, it's notes. If it wanted a script, it would have said script. Okay, it's the classic RTFQ. If you don't know what RTFQ is, read the flipping question. You can change the F to whatever you want. Shane actually got me a mug with that written on it. She actually got me a mug with it. So many times people don't read the question. Okay, so why a persona is good in digital, and this is all about the personalization, the targeting, and so forth. Why you can do this stuff. If you know who you're speaking to, the right audience, the right message, the right time, the right channel. 4 R's that we spoke about last week. All those things can be put in there. See the slide, the video's up, Sienna, so you can watch that as well. So yeah, all that kind of stuff can go into that section, which is good. And then you've got established model framework. So that's essentially saying use either RACE or ADA. You know, I can't really say it much quicker. How do you then address these people? You've defined who you're talking to. Then how am I going to do this? And so we're looking at a customer journey. Now, the diagram that I've shown many times, online, offline journey with the kind of wavy line and all that kind of stuff in different channels. But if they wanted to write a assignment question, which basically said, use Carl's diagram and then explain it, they couldn't have done a better job, basically, because that is essentially what you're doing here. But customize that to your particular customer context, your particular organization context, and the theme that you're doing. So if you're looking at new segments, then focus on the awareness section. If you're looking at nurturing brand and existing customers, developing brand loyalty, then look at the interest and desire section, because that's where your theme is leading you to. They already know you because they're existing customers. By definition, they know you. How do I keep them? So different parts of it you can focus on. This new section about brief overview, customer feedback. Customer feedback is a nightmare. It always is a nightmare. I think very early on, 6 or 7 weeks ago, we talked about this kind of polarization. People will only give you feedback if they absolutely love you or they absolutely loathe you.
If you've got a scheme, so at the moment we have like a scheme where we speak to clients.
Yeah.
It's not really digital. It's somebody in the company will go and speak to clients and ask them, in essence, ask them questions about, you know, whether or not they're happy with us and get feedback from them.
Yep.
But so could I just do it and just say it's done over email or surveys? Would that?
Perfect. Because if you look at the way they've worded this, they've used the how word there. And that automatically thinks, oh my God, I've got to talk about things like SurveyMonkey and stuff like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you actually look at the way they've written the question, you could say this, provide a brief overview of why gaining customer feedback is a good idea.
Okay. Yeah.
They've sneakily chucked in the how word, making you think of channels and techniques and technologies. But in actual fact, this is a why question.
Okay. So it's not so much about, I guess I'm just, as I said earlier, like I'm just making sure that I get the digital side of things. But
I know this is why it's a good idea to get feedback from existing customers to help you improve and to help demonstrate that you're engaged with them, to help demonstrate that you care about them, or at least you can pretend to care about them. And so doing it through email is absolutely fine. Doing it through regular account management, because you're a business to business with a small number of very important, very large, very rich customers, they are not going to fill in a SurveyMonkey form. They are going to want someone talking to them. But what you can do is you can structure a questionnaire to give to the account managers to say, find these things out.
Yeah.
So that's the way you would do it. I think weeks ago I talked about this, the SurveyMonkey survey, which had like 17 or 18 questions on it or something like that. And I said, no one's going to fill that in. It's too long. So you can do it because we're business to business, because we have account managers. We will gain our feedback through face to face, and actually have a picture of two people talking over a table or over a coffee or whatever. We can capture this information, we can then manage this information, we can analyze this information to get insights, and that's how you would do that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the C bit, talking here about theories and frameworks, key benefits, challenges, multi-channel integrated approach. This is basically saying omni-channel, but they've put it as multi-channel integrated, because omni-channel is essentially an integrated version of multi-channel. Multi-channel is like everybody talking to everybody in different ways. And I've got some PPC going on over there. I've got some SEO people doing some stuff over there. I've got some people managing my social media over there. I've got my mail people doing things over there, and none of them are talking to each other. Everybody hates each other. Omni-channel is we're working together. We're actually working as an integrated team. And this kind of flows into this customer journey that we talked about in section B. And this kind of rugby player imagery that we had of passing the ball neatly to the next person, and passing it to the next person, passing it to the next person, who then takes the ball and runs with it. So this is your marketing team taking a ball from your pay-per-click and passing it over to your web. And then you're passing that through to your social media for some nurturing, and some passing it through to the newsletters to get some targeted personalization going on in there. And then you're passing it to your account manager, who takes that ball and runs to the end and takes all the glory and goes, look at me, aren't I brilliant, aren't I brilliant? And everyone else is going, if it weren't for us, he would have been nowhere. That's the pain of being a marketing person in those organizations, because no one cares about us, because we're not attributed with any, we don't get an assist for that kind of stuff. Sorry, blathering here, I apologize. But yeah, so look at multi-channel integrated, how we're working together, how we're bringing the channels together. There's 4 R's, right? Audience, right? Message, right? Time. Time being time within the customer journey. And then the right channel. And then we say, for this thing, for this message, this audience, at that point in the customer journey, this is the channel. And then later on, for this message, for this time in the customer journey, I need that other channel. And I need to make sure that this channel talks to that channel, so that he doesn't start running before he's ready to go. Okay. I apologize if you don't know much about rugby. Then I apologize. That probably didn't mean a great deal to you, but hopefully a little bit of it sort of got in there. So I think that's fairly clear. Is there any questions on 2?
No, not from me. I think
Is that happy? Everyone happy? Excellent. I love it when people are happy.
Just why do they want it in a slide format?
This is just
random.
It's a bit random. They've done this before. They play with the models. They play with this stuff all the time. CIM like to think that they are cool and funky and down with it. When the first 2 sessions of digital marketing, which was the course which was preceded this one, you actually had to do a podcast. You had to record a podcast.
Oh wow. God, I'm so glad that is not.
Me too.
And for the digital strategy, which was the level 6 module, you had to record a video.
I think that'd be better than a podcast, because at least, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I know my husband's, I'm sure he's had to do for, he's doing a distance at university, and I'm pretty sure he had to do a recording for one of his things. But yeah, a podcast just makes me think, oh my God.
It's cringeworthy. It's cringeworthy. I basically told all my people, just send me the script, because I don't want to listen to literally an hour and a half of people doing podcasts at me. It's just, it was awful. They canned that. Another
Hour and a
one,
half long as well.
well, no, each one had to be 3 minutes long. So I had an hour and a half worth
I
of
see, I
them
see.
to listen to. Another one, they actually asked you to design a web page because they were cool and funky and they wanted people to design web pages, forgetting that in actual fact, marketing people shouldn't be designing web pages because we're doing more important strategic stuff than inserting images and writing HTML code. So yeah, but the way they've done it in the presentation is to see whether you can get the information across in a kind of a clear and concise, logical story flow. You know, when you're doing a presentation, you have to do thing and then thing and then thing and then thing, and it forces that kind of structure to it. So that's why they did it, and also it gives them something else to look at. Okay, so plan. The key thing about the plan 3A is if you've done 1 and 2 well, then 3A is dead easy. It's a piece of cake because you know who you're talking to, you know what you're wanting to do with them, you know what is good from here, you know your gap analysis between what the best are doing and what you're doing here. So effectively, the objectives from this piece here are the gap analysis between these two pieces. This company is brilliant. This company does some fantastic stuff. We do less fantastic stuff. Therefore, my plan should be to start doing some of that fantastic stuff. Your objectives come from your persona. Who are we talking to? What are we talking to them about? What are we trying to sell them? How do we then measure that? So, you know, it comes out, it flows from the other piece. The digital marketing mix. Well, you've just talked about brilliant things like your customer journey, which channels are using at the right time, at the right audience, the right message, and how to multi-channel and integrate them in 2B and 2C. That kind of defines the digital marketing mix, the digital tools from that. And this integration into the overall marketing activity. So this is the online, offline kind of combo bits. So how do we mix in with, you know, face-to-face networking? How do we mix in with person-to-person account management activities and so on and so forth? So basically, your marketing plan should be delivered, because it's talking about identified in task 2, all of this stuff and this stuff here. All of it is built towards that plan.
And I guess you just say and refer back to this point and this table or whatever it is. Okay.
Yes, indeed. You can sort of say, when you're talking about your digital tools, you can sort of say, you know, with this point in the customer journey, slide 7, we will use whatever. You know. So yeah, it really does just flow through. And at this point, you've built so much momentum in the great stuff you've done in task 1 and task 2, that task 3 just kind of just pours out naturally. He says blithely, because I don't have to write it because I've already done it. But you know what I mean. It should be natural. Metrics. This is about KPIs. This is saying, right, we want to have this many people signing up to newsletters. We want this many people to request a meeting. We want this many people to use our automated AI chatbot. We want this many people to order online, or you know, whatever you're doing. And this is from last week's slides where you're sticking the thermometer into your marketing plan to identify how healthy it is. So you're saying this transition point between aware and interested, or unaware to aware, or desire to action. What temperature probes can we stick into the marketing plan to identify whether the marketing plan is doing well or doing badly? And so this is why, and it's asked you just for 2 of them, so it's relatively straightforward. It's not asking you to say, we will use Google Analytics to measure the traffic on our website. This is saying, what is the KPI? What is the thing you're trying to drag out of Google Analytics to tell me whether this is working or not? Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. So this is, sign-ups. This is request for information. This is signing up for a webinar, signing up for a digital networking event, sort of whatever it happens to be. All those kind of key things in here. And it's giving reasons for your choice. So why is this relevant to my plan? Why does this measurement help me understand how well my plan is working? Okay. Again, all this why wording. Okay, so C, they've changed slightly. In C now, they're talking about a scanning approach to talk about factors to ensure you're doing well. So previously, I've said that what you can do here is look at a scanning approach, which has 3 elements to it, which is the supra macro, which is the wide world, the macro, which is just the competitive industries that we are in, competitors, and then the micro. What they're looking at here is looking at really 2 areas in that supra macro and the macro area, because they're assuming that micro is covered up here. So they've slightly adjusted the way they've balanced the questions out. And you can see that the marks have been slightly adjusted as well. So what they're saying is, how do we continue to be competitive? So how do we do this gap analysis between where we should be and where we are? And that is what you're looking at as your two factors. So, looking at competitors, looking at ourselves, doing that gap analysis, identifying opportunities, and so forth. You could bring in the kind of Kaizen approach as a continuous improvement approach in here, continually reflecting, assessing, changing, reflecting, assessing, changing all the way through. So that could be an interesting approach to have in this cyclical way of continually checking and guiding by wire rather than fire and forget. We're doing a controlling the health of this plan rather than just doing a post-mortem rummaging through the entrails and working out what killed it approach. So sorry for imagery there, but that's the kind of thing you were looking at here. Do those things make sense?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I guess, but is it, yeah, you put the budget in the plan.
Yeah.
And do you need to refer, it's referring back to that maybe? Yeah,
absolutely. The outline budget, it doesn't have to be massively accurate. It has to be moderately realistic, but don't think of it down to the individual pounds and pence. This is, it's going to be about £5,000 for this. It's going to be about £10,000 for this. It's going to be 1,500 for this.
And would you recommend putting it in a table where you can just break down?
That is a good place to put a table. Another thing to remember, and I hope your other tutors have said this to you, the CIM dislike narrative tables. This kind of table where you sort of have a box, and inside that box you have 6 bullet points, and then the next box along you have another 6 bullet points. This kind of descriptive, narrative, qualitative kind of table. They prefer, if you're using tables, then the tables need to be quantitative. So you can have numbers in them, or you can have ticks and crosses, that kind of stuff. They don't want mini paragraphs in tables. It doesn't actually save you many words, and it makes it harder to read, and it makes it harder to mark.
Are words not counted in tables? I thought
words are counted in tables.
They are, yeah.
Absolutely. So there's
Yeah,
no point in putting stuff in tables in
No.
order to
Save
fake-
words.
to save
Yeah.
words. It doesn't save you words. And the worst I had was a table which was 2.5 pages long.
Mm.
And you should never, ever, ever split a table across across a page break, ever. Just like, it should be a hanging offence, in my opinion, to do that. And so 2.5 page table. I mean, how the hell are you supposed to follow a 2.5 page table? You know, because we read like that. We don't. It's not how we read. So don't do it.
And if
Please.
a table is like going to split over a page, would you recommend just starting a new page where it's at the
I would say if you've got a table which is looking at like that, then it shouldn't be in a table.
Okay, that makes
quite
sense.
simply, it shouldn't be in a
Yeah.
table. Often, if you look at a table, a lot of these kind of narrative tables, you will see almost the same kind of information in multiple cells. That's clearly wasting words. So, you know, if you're having, this is my marketing plan, in awareness raising, I will do these things. The temptation is to build a table which is awareness. Row 1 is awareness, row 2 is interest, row 3 is desire, row 4 is action, and then you have the different tools or something like that across the top. I've seen that so many times. And then people say, we will use this, we will use email in this area.
Yeah.
You can't follow that. So do a subhead, which is awareness raising activities. We will do the following things in our awareness raising activities. Maintaining interest. In order to maintain interest, we will do these following things. It's actually a much clearer story. It does save you words. It makes me happy. And the thing you've got to do is make the marker happy.
Yeah.
I'm not marking it, but you know, I'm a proxy for being the marker. So make me happy, and then you hopefully can make the marker happy.
Cool.
Okay. Good. Okay, I'm pretty much finished now. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
I don't know what happened to Jamie. She disappeared after about 4 weeks, and hopefully she didn't hate me so much that she decided not to bother turning up. Maybe she's doing something else.
I think she works. She works for a pub, and I suspect that
They've been massively busy. Yeah. Getting back.
Yeah, and I think probably because you've been recording it, she's just been watching the recordings. So yeah, I suspect that's probably why.
Fantastic. Well, what I will do is I will email this just to you two, because obviously we talked a lot about your businesses. If you listen to it and you think actually this is fine, let everybody else watch it, then I'm very happy to send it out, but I will let you two approve it before I do that. If that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm around all the way through until December. You know where I am. I will help you in any and every way I can all the way through to that. Don't wait till the draft before contacting me. If you've got a question, ask me and I will answer it straight away.
Thank you. And
I will be available to you all the way through. And I sincerely hope I don't have to see you again on my doing this module again, because that would show that I've not done it very well. Has it been enjoyable? Has it been interesting?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm glad about that. It's always yeah, like I say, yeah, it's difficult to do in these ones, especially in the small groups, especially when we've had 1 or 2 people, and hopefully it hasn't been too awkward and difficult in that respect. And yeah, it's been fun, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then, guys.